Today, I am absolutely delighted to be here chatting to Katrine Sporle, who heads up the Property Ombudsman, often referred to as the TPO. And it really is a delight to meet you, Katrine. It's a really interesting time for you at the moment. For the benefit of the Move IQ audience who perhaps might not be familiar with the Property Ombudsman, could you just explain a little bit about what it is that you guys get up to?
Oh, I'd be happy to, and I'm really pleased to be here. So yeah, well, actually what we hope is that people don't need our services, because an ombudsman exists to deal with complaints that have not been resolved by the person who sold you a service. Mm-hmm. So we hope that most people get a good service, but from the Property Ombudsman's point of view, if you were buying a house and something went wrong, or if you were letting a house and something went wrong, and you went back to the agent and said, look, this wasn't right, and the agent didn't sort it out, then you could come to us.
Okay. Is it for buyers and sellers and renters, tenants and landlords? Does everybody have access?
Yeah, it's for everybody who uses an agent. Yeah. In any shape or form.
And given the complexity of the house buying, selling, renting process in this country, and the importance of it, both emotionally and financially, it's little wonder that that we need an ombudsman. And I understand you are the Property Ombudsman as well.
I am the Property Ombudsman. It's a great title.
It is a fantastic
It's really
title.
good. Yeah, I think actually there are lots of things. As you say, it's really complex, this whole market. And I think what I can say to you is that on the estate agency side, the Property Ombudsman's been going for 28 years. And actually, we see higher standards as a result than the private sector letting agency, which is newer, where we see more complaints. Okay.
So it's very much for the benefit of the consumer. You are there for consumers who feel that things haven't gone according to plan.
That's right. We're not, it's important to say that we're not a consumer champion. What we are is an alternative to lengthy and costly court processes. So instead of going off to court, you can come to us. We know, obviously, the market. We have members of our scheme who sign up to our codes of practice. Yeah. So what we're able to do is both give advice to people about, actually, you need to go back to your agent first off and try and sort it. Or we can say, look, we can help you structure that. We can give you a bit of information about what you should have expected.
Yes.
Now you can go back and ask those questions.
So they tend to come to you at different stages?
Yes.
It might have been something's gone wrong, quick, call the Ombudsman, or something's actually gone wrong a month down the line, they think, actually, this isn't right.
Yeah, I think, both points are really important. The thing is that actually we got 30,000 contacts last year. And these are not people who are ringing up to say, I'm having a nice day. So, and they can come online 24/7, or they can ring, or they can write, or they can email. So that number rises year on year. And the number of people then where we take it through to what we call a complex complaint, where we have an adjudicator look at what happened, it is massively different. So it's 30,000 inquiries, but 4,500 really entrenched complaints where we come to an adjudicated outcome and we make an award against an agent or not if they're not supported.
What would you say the most common complaint would be?
Well, unfortunately, the really common complaint is that I haven't been dealt with properly. You know, and that was your other point, wasn't it?
Or courteously, or just...
All of the above. Okay. I think what happens is that actually, in all fairness to consumers, they leave it and leave it and leave it.
Yeah.
And they think it's either going to go away, or it's going to get better, or it's going to be resolved. And so actually they leave it too long, and then when they go to the agent and say, I'm not happy, they're really not happy. Yeah. And then I think there are lots of agents who find it difficult to deal with an unhappy consumer or customer. So they tend to not deal with it
Not deal with it, and then it gets worse.
And then it gets worse, and then it comes to us.
Would you have any advice for consumers who are involved in buying, selling, renting, what have you? Obviously, nobody wants to get in a spat with their agent, but have you got any advice of how best to avoid that? Or indeed, if it does happen, what helps you make your assessment and adjudication? Should they take notes on the way through? Should they record things?
Yeah. Evidence is everything. So we look at the evidence on both sides. And then we come to what we call a fair and reasonable conclusion. So yes, I mean, I know it's hard, but my biggest piece of advice is please read what you are given. Please read the contract.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand anything in the contract, ask for it to be explained. Now, this is a two-way road. We say exactly the same to agents. We say to agents, don't expect consumers to read 50-page contracts. Don't hide something on page 45, because people don't read. But you know that, so you too need to make sure that when a consumer signs a contract, they've understood what they're signing. And it becomes really important on, some of the tricky issues, because these are what we call dynamic markets, and you'd be surprised at the trends. Okay. And a lot of them comes from actually not reading the contract in the first place.
I can imagine in the sort of the world that we live in and the way that corporations have systems that they follow, and an estate agent, a good estate agent, probably does log every phone call, every discussion, what was agreed, gets written down.
A good one does.
The good one does, but actually a homeowner probably doesn't. And therefore the evidence is often going to be stacked in favour of the agent.
No, actually, it doesn't work like that. Funnily enough, I mean, if you look at our statistics, we support more complaints for the consumer than the other way around. Yeah. I think it's quite interesting, actually, because I can see a trend with consumers getting more savvy, and I can also see a lot of the trade bodies doing a lot more work with their members to say, look, if you want to run a good business, then before you put a house on the market, talk to the seller and make sure the seller has got that house market ready.
100%.
Or sale ready. I mean, it's two things, isn't it? But that requires two lots of people to be doing the same thing. So the seller being completely upfront. Yeah. And the agent getting all the information they need. But
of course, the agent's also keen to get on and sell the house.
Absolutely.
They don't really want to have another conversation that doesn't seem important at the moment.
Well, but I think that most agents try and get it right. That there's then a big issue about training. That this is a big industry, large organisations. Agents have got to put the effort into training their staff, because you do see good stuff coming from the seller. They've done the report on Japanese knotweed, and they've given it to the agent, and the agent hasn't passed it on. Oh, great. And then the seller finds they've got Japanese knotweed 12 months down the line, and all hell breaks loose. Everybody's got to play their part. And from our point of view, with more and more people playing their part better, it actually means that we can see when someone hasn't much more easily. Yeah. You're right about, if people have got stars in their eyes, that's the dream home of my life, so I'm going to go for it. I'm not going to ask the right questions.
Nothing else matters.
And I'm not going to write anything down, and my estate agent is my best friend. That's when things can go a bit wrong a bit later on.
See, customer service is crucial in any business, in any industry, but particularly so in the housing market, where you're dealing with such an asset and a home at somebody's, and they get very emotional and connected to their homes. But add into that the days of social media, and if you provide a bad service, the world can know about it in the click of a button.
Absolutely.
So the agents have got to get on board, haven't they?
They have. And I mean, we do a lot of work with agents up and down the country. We do training modules, we do a complaints handling toolkit, we provide them with consumer guides that they give out when they start with a customer. we do roadshows, we do conferences, we do case studies.
Okay.
So, all of it's online, all of it's out there. There's really no excuse.
So agents really should sign up to the TPO.
Well, I think so. Because I should say, so to be absolutely even-handed, there are two redress schemes. There's the Property Ombudsman and then there's the Property Redress Scheme.
Yeah.
But the thing about an ombudsman is that we do, I don't like this expression much, cradle to grave. So we do the get it right, put it right, set it right.
Okay.
So that's where we do codes of practice and complaints and education. And that gives you the whole gambit. It also means that we can track trends. We can see things coming up. And because we're not government funded, it makes it much easier for us to just stand up and say, this is what's happening in the industry.
You've got no extra grant. There's no conflict of interest.
Yeah.
There's no, so you can be totally
Completely
objective.
independent.
Yeah.
So we feed that kind of, if you like, regulatory information back into the system.
Yeah.
And we say to government and to the industry, there's a problem here. We need to work together to put it right.
It's a really interesting place to work from, I imagine.
It is. Actually, we've got a great team. We're based in Salisbury. We've got the full team is about 80 strong.
Okay.
And we have a whole range of people who are skilled in customer service. We have a lot of lawyers. We clearly have people who are experts in the industry, who understand the legislation. So I have to tell you, there's never a dull moment. And you'd be surprised some of the issues that come our way. Just extraordinary.
I spend my life looking round houses and it takes all, there's no such thing as folk, isn't that the saying?
Absolutely. and of course, every house is unique.
Yeah.
Because although you might get two houses the same on an estate, but the gardens are different. They've been extended differently. Everything is unique, and you're absolutely right. People invest huge amounts of time and effort in their home.
Could you give me an example of a typical award? So if a consumer approaches you, they've had a complaint, you've upheld the complaint and feel that the agent has not met with the code of practice, what would be an award that a consumer could expect?
Okay, now this one is a difficult question. Let me just say to you that we can give a maximum award of £25,000, and then let me manage your expectations, because we don't give many of those, although probably in any year I might do about 5 or 6 £25,000 awards. So what we do is we make sure that a consumer is put back to where they should have been before the problem happened. So let's say for a minute that you were trying to buy a house, it fell through, but you had spent several £1,000s on a surveyor and solicitor's fees. We would make the agent pay that money back. And then we might give an award for what we call aggravation, inconvenience, disturbance. Yeah. So we sort of do that in 3 layers. If you were just a bit put out, you might get anything from £50 to £150. If actually, it's taken you months and months and months of lost sleep to get anywhere with this, you might get £500. If, however, it's life-changing, supposing it meant that you couldn't move into a house where you had expected to, and your child was going to that school, then you could get up to £5,000 in compensation. So you'd get whatever money you'd lost plus an award for compensation. Now, bearing in mind how many complaints we deal with, in average terms, because last year we made awards of over £2 million. So every year it goes up. So in average terms, the average for sales is about 600. The average for lettings is a bit more. It's about it's about 850. So, but everything depends on the circumstances.
Yes, yeah, no, I get that.
of the case.
That's a really good explanation, and just a kind of rule, a guideline to help people understand what you do and what's in it for the consumer and
Absolutely.
what your role is. I think it's absolutely paramount. I applaud everything that you're doing. It's a complicated enough process as it is.
It is.
And it's not something that people go through very often. So sometimes they don't know what to expect. You're absolutely right. They don't read the contract and they don't know what to expect. They almost, there's going to be a problem at some point.
Absolutely.
No, it's great. Fantastic.